Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 972. I'm Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Edinburgh.
And Chris in Edmonton.
What? Warren's in Edinburgh, Scotland. How about that? Wow.
Isn't that something?
Isn't it, though? Warren's in the UK right now. Actually, this episode thus is being recorded from the locations of the two largest fringe theater festivals in the world.
It's going on right now.
It's going on right now. Is it chaos? You know, I've never been member. I've never been during the fringe,
I went to the Houses of Parliament,
right.
And that was more chaotic. Although there's probably more people out there right now, they seem to have a better handle on it than all the milling tourist idiocy that was around Westminster.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it is a Saturday night at the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. I imagine that it's getting quite fringy out there.
Well, there's one thing the Scots don't like to do, it's drink, so I can't see it getting too crazy.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, well...
I highly recommend going to a pub and having a nice pie and Tennant's lager.
I've been trying to have more British food, but I got to tell you, mushed peas or mashed peas or whatever they are, not good.
It's weird.
Mushy peas are terrible. It's the mint that does it, but
mint. Mushy peas,
and also the texture, I guess. For
that's I don't understand the mushy peas thing. I love fresh peas, raw peas. The more they get cooked,
peas in the pod,
the worse they get. Yeah, but then then it gets worse. Then why are you cooking them? That's all worse. Why are you mushing them up? That's even worse. What are you doing?
I did
England?
have a traditional British breakfast, and it was actually quite well made, but I made a point of getting the most British breakfast I could, and I'm like, this is just the biggest grab bag of stuff I've ever seen in my life. I've had British breakfast before, but it really is what's the word I'm looking for? Like, if you walked into a bazaar, a craft show, it would be kind of the food equivalent of that.
It was different. Yeah, I went to on our first trip to England. We flew back from Heathrow, and we saw, you know what, Heathrow, we're going to get a British breakfast. And they go, why are there beans in my breakfast? It just felt strange to me. But
well,
that's British.
Same reason you get a jacket potato covered in tuna.
Well, I don't get that, of course. But
one thing about walking around in England and Scotland reminds me of a man of a certain age, just how much more English Canada used to be, because there's bits and pieces like Boots Pharmacy and that kind of stuff that was around when I was a kid, or Marks and Spencer, and long since gone, and it's still here, right?
I saw very, very vivid memories of walking around Heritage Mall and going to the Marks and Spencer there.
There we go.
Yep.
There's our old CanCon. It worked in there somehow. I was wondering how that would
right off the top, not even a minute in.
Got in there. Not bad, everyone. Not everyone.
Edinburgh is a gorgeous, gorgeous city. Gorgeous.
Pretty cool. I mean, I've seen very little. We just got here this morning, but I've seen very little of it, but it's what I've seen is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, you're there for a few days and just drink it all in, literally or figuratively.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not literally. It seems like a bad idea, but okay.
I know. Warren's an old man now, Chris. He doesn't have the constitution that he once had in his...
Not like you, spry almost 50s. I'm a not so spry over 50.
I know. We're getting there. But hey,
hopefully it's agreeable enough with your dietary concerns, Warren.
So far, I mean, I haven't gone crazy, and also, you know, Britain has a rep for bad food that is not entirely ill-founded, but you can get pretty much anything you want in London or Edinburgh.
Yeah. I was never wanting for a veggie burger or other alternative fringe diets, so to speak. When I was
worried I couldn't get non-alcoholic beer here, but nobody cares. They're fine with it.
All right. Oh, that's great.
They secretly plot your downfall if you buy it, but they'll sell it.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's about time somebody did.
That's true. I don't know if this is any of the conversations that went on during it is worth mentioning in this, or indeed legally abiding in this podcast. But you met up with our friend Simon Harries at some point.
Yes, I did. And no, I'm not going to disclose confidences. I'll just say that we talked like a couple of specialists about, it was mostly us blathering on about old Doctor Who crap, of course.
Let's face it. Yeah. Good old Simon. I haven't seen Simon.
And he hasn't seen the Sandbaggers, so I told him about the Sandbaggers.
What? He has he has the entire archive of British television on like a hard drive. And he's never seen the Sandbaggers.
Not yet. So you bet your butt 2 beers in, I was extolling in loudly on the streets of Piccadilly how great the Sandbaggers was.
Also, we should point out, Warren, literally one of the first pictures that you sent back to us was...
If not the first.
You went to the McDonald's on, let me say, 155 Victoria Street, if I got that right. It's like implanted in my head.
I think it's 150 or 155.
I think it's 150.
That's close.
That's the McDonald's, long since remodeled, but the on-location McDonald's that Neil Burnside and Jeff Ross would meet at on occasion to have off-the-record meetings on the Sandbaggers.
Wikipedia said the bench was there. The bench is not there. But I actually fired up one of the episodes it's in to make sure I could figure out exactly where they were sitting, and then I sat as close as I could get.
Right. Right there, you can see in the background all the styrofoam wrappers and everything on the original. Like there should be a blue plaque there. There should be a blue plaque right here. Jeff Ross, Neil Burnside.
There's no. I actually
the world.
Did look for a blue plaque.
Yeah, not there. And they shot most of that show in Leeds, of course, but they did do location jaunts to London to find the best possible McDonald's.
That might have been one of the few McDonald's in England at the time. Who knows?
It could have been. I don't know. I think even when did they get one in Moscow? Like 1990 or something like that. I don't know. Maybe 86 for some reason. I remember was a big thing when the McDonald's opened up in Moscow. Like promptly closed like 6 weeks later. But anyway, that's the olden days.
Those state-owned, if memory serves, as well.
State-owned in the Soviet Union. And then Chernobyl happened, or around the same time. And then everything changed after that. It's a good show, Chernobyl. Anyway, enjoy the UK, Warren. I know that everyone's busy next week, so like the three of us won't. I'll be here on a Sunday after being completely busy working an August hockey tournament in Edmonton, as one does, and while you're off at WorldCon, Warren, this coming week, which is will be exciting, I guess. That's in Glasgow, of course. That's not in Edinburgh, but.
Yep. Well, we'll see if I meet up with anybody or get any interviews. I actually have been pretty lame about trying to pursue that, but I will double my efforts from nothing.
Oh no, you don't have to be Jar Jarrod telling the Darth Vader about the construction of the Death Star.
I was waiting for you to explain that reference, which I actually did catch, but
double our efforts. You don't have to worry about that. Just go there. Go there, have a good time. I'm sure there'll be some people that we know that'll be there. And it'll be great. And although the Hugo Awards, for which Doctor Who is up for Best Dramatic Presentation short form, basically happen just after our regular drop time. So we will not have news of Doctor Who's Hugo loss on to that awful Star Trek musical episode on the show next week.
Oh no, it'll lose to the crossover episode.
That one,
the Lower Decks Strange New Worlds crossover.
Yeah.
Hugo voters are different than regular dork nerds. They'll probably come up with something else that they like that is incomprehensible to us.
Well, the Last of Us episode is good. I hope that one wins. If it's not Doctor Who.
Sure, whatever you say.
I voted for Doctor Who.
Yeah,
but
it was a popular enough show.
That's true. Hey, I'm trying to tie this in with Warren's epic train
journey.
There is
no way.
To get to Edinburgh. But speaking of big, long, overlong chases that basically lead to a predestined destination, episode 2 of our Planet of the Spiders commentary, which is the big chase episode, the big hat tip to John Pertwee, let him drive everything he wants, because his cash in his last check episode of Doctor Who is our classic series commentary later on in this episode. But now the news. Catherine Tate is coming back to Gallifrey One. Feels like just yesterday that she was here. 6 years ago she was at Gallifrey One.
I know, time is strange.
I know.
I mean, Biden quit a week ago, so this we were just talking about this off air, about how that feels like it was 3 months ago. What the hell is happening?
It's ridiculous. What did we? It was like 2 weeks ago was that I was in Wisconsin, wasn't it? And that was like literally as we press record, the Trump assassination attempt happened, and then like the week
Biden
later,
hadn't quit yet.
Biden literally dropped out like the day after we recorded the next episode. Yeah, it's madness. Anyway. Catherine Tate, Donna Noble herself, returning to Gallifrey One Friday and Saturday for Gallifrey One, courtesy of Showmasters, so that's pretty cool. Once again, I like how Gallifrey One's doing this because instead of saving up for one big giant guest block announcement, they feed it in throughout as they get confirmed and stuff. It also keeps it. It's basically the stream, the weekly episode drop equivalent of a TV show, as opposed to dropping it all at once.
But okay,
you know what I mean? Like, oh wow, everyone talks about Gallifrey One for like, but they're like all the guests at once, and you kind of lose track of which ones are announced. And this way, it gets like, hey, Catherine Tate's coming. You can talk about that. So that's pretty cool. We'll be there, of course, election permitting.
Yeah.
This is Warren's caveat, but
I have higher hopes than I did say a week ago.
Speaking of time going crazy, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I've noticed that Catherine Tate has been doing like more like just conventions in the States. Like I'm mildly surprised because I feel like when she first started doing these, she wasn't as well versed in Doctor Who and that whole universe, and she seemed kind of like not intimidated, but like it was like it was an eye-opening experience. And now she's doing a lot of solo panels at your usual fan expos across the United States, I see. So
I will always support her because in the Gallifrey One interview, one of them, she said that if she hadn't become an actor, she'd be an editor. And I'm like, one of us. like
an editor, like a word editor,
video editor. Yeah, no,
video
like a
editor. Oh wow.
Yeah, I can't remember the reason was that she admired what they did, basically.
Right.
I wonder how many. How prevalent like office conventions are. Given she was on there, like maybe she does sidelines with those in the States.
I mean, the Office fans are, at least in the States, are pretty fanatical. So maybe.
I'm just not sure if there's quite the thing for that fandom as Doctor Who fans.
Yeah, I don't care about the show, so I've never looked into it. But I do see a lot of T-shirts with Dwight Schrute on them.
I only watched the UK one, which is the superior one, despite what Chris will
horrible.
Say. There we go.
Horrible.
Who's going to say it? Hey, if you want to... This happened... No, wait. It had happened because Heather and Stacey were on last week and talking about the RTD Alex Kurtzman Star Trek panel, which had literally just happened as we talked to them. Well, you can watch the whole panel on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel. Links in the show notes. Did you watch it, Warren? I didn't watch it. What's it like?
I watched it before this. Well, it's exactly what you think it is. It's a SDCC panel. They both complement each other. It's somewhat interesting. If you want to hear what these guys think about stuff, it's good for that. You're going to get some interesting insights into their thought processes. But then at the end, it devolves into every other SDCC panel, which is where somebody comes up and goes, as a filmmaker myself, here's a convenient link to what I've made. What do you think about this? Legitimate question.
Right.
So, and I got to give Kurtzman credit. He's like, what's the name of your film? He wasn't, he played along. I'll give him that.
He played along as, like actually, like, we'll never remember it.
Nice.
But,
and RTD is quite self-effacing. He's like, oh, I love Saru, and I resemble Saru. And somebody said, do you resemble, like, I think it was the moderator. She said, oh, is it because he's as tall as you are? It's like, yes, and my face looks like him too. And I'm like, not a bad one. Not a bad one, RTD.
Well.
Quick side note, I finally delved into Discovery season 5.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I'm only 2 episodes in. I'm not hating it, but I've been a bigger Discovery fan than you two have. So
I think you have. Surprised it took you this long. They canceled it. Now it's over now.
They did. That's why I waited.
If you like hugging, it's a show for you.
There's some hugging in there. Yeah, they've been announcing that Star Trek Academy show too. I saw a nice thing about Paul Giamatti about how he said, "Oh, I'd love to be like a Klingon."
A Klingon, I believe it was.
Yeah, and then they sort of called his bluff. Says, "Oh, well, would you like to be? Oh, I want to do a whole show. Really? Okay." So he did. So that's kind of cool for Paul Giamatti. One of the bigger actors out there to say, "Yeah,
it's kind of like Whoopi Goldberg. She sort of went the same route.
Guinan,
right?
Yeah.
She was a huge star at the time. Like she's still a star, but
she was
at kind of the peak of what she was doing. thing. Yeah. And then she's like, well, I'm going to Star Trek. What the hell? I love this.
Also a massive Doctor Who fan.
Is she really?
Oh, yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg didn't know. I know Cyndi Lauper was. I don't know. I don't know.
Cyndi Lauper caught it the night before her one show appearance. I don't know
that
she's a fan.
She didn't denigrate it, which makes her, by 70s rules, a Doctor Who fan.
Yes, did not dismiss it out of hand as cheap.
Yep. Didn't make fun of me specifically for liking Doctor Who, so she's okay in my books.
Yep. It wasn't a targeted attack, despite having never met me. Exactly. Hey, Blu-ray fans, you ready for this? Here in North America, the 60th anniversary episodes are due in North America on Blu-ray December the 10th. Now, the apparent agreement that is in place for Disney material or Disney rights holder material is that they must wait a year after it dropping to be released on Blu-ray. And December 10th is literally a year and a day after the broadcast dropping of The Giggle on December 9th, 2023. So that's when they're finally coming out here in North America. Are there any word on extras or anything like that? Or is it just these straight episodes? I don't think the Amazon placeholder has much in the way of details when it comes to stuff. But
no, I haven't seen anything quite yet.
No.
But watch this space, I guess.
Watch this space.
I would imagine at the very least they'll have like Unleashed and
stuff's there to be put on. So
some miscellaneous stuff like that at the very least.
One would hope. Anyway.
And the commentaries, like why wouldn't you do the commentary for The Giggle, right? I mean,
the Envision yeah, that would be perfect because I think they're on there for the UK ones probably, but then that's a BBC thing, so you never know. You know, sometimes they just don't put things on that we want to see. So here's hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I only just literally this morning came across the fact that there's a release date, and I don't know what's out there for information yet. I haven't had a chance.
No idea. It's just a straight port across of what they put out in the UK earlier, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing says BBC Studios, so if the BBC is in control of the release, then maybe. I don't know.
Find out December 10th. When we order it. It's only on Amazon.com so far, not in .ca.
I have not yet seen
Canadian
it
fans.
In Canada, yeah.
No, so still waiting. I bet your BBC shop has it, and then they'll wait a month to ship it, and then ship it twice. That's probably what they'll do. But
well, it worked out great for me, so keep it up.
Exactly.
It gets our offshoots.
So far, I've only gotten one copy, season 15. Not a second one.
I watched all of it.
I have season 15, so yeah.
I watched all the episodes proper with the info text on, which I love doing. Info text is my favorite thing of the DVDs and Blu-rays, and they've since been updated for the Blu-rays. And you know what? It's so weird. When I love Classic Who. I don't know if you could gather that from the near 20 years of this podcast. But as I was done, like season 15, I was like, I wanted more. How come there isn't more classic Tom? I want to see Tom Baker. I want to see that era of Tom Baker on Blu-ray more.
I was actually on the plane. I was listening to, I think it was Once in Future Lives, the Tom Baker 60th anniversary sort of to the side special, which is like an hour-long thing on Big Finish. And I got to tell you, when you hear the old music and then it's a new Tom Baker episode in air quotes, it does feel like you're watching new Doctor Who, even though you're just listening to it. So go for the Tom Baker Big Finishes because it will make you feel like you're watching new Doctor Who.
Do they have info text on them though? I want to read about them at the same time.
I don't think so. Not sure how that would work.
Oh.
They just have a secondary audio track, so your Big Finish stuff is in your left ear, and the info track is on the right ear.
I love that.
If you run it on an iPod video, then you can get info text.
Your brain has to parse the both into cohesive stuff.
It's just a Nicholas Briggs commentary track on the right channel. That's all it is.
Chris, if that existed, Stephen would do it.
I would do it. I would do it.
Oh, I know.
Do it. I should. We're probably going to Chicago.
Why don't you make it?
Maybe.
You can do a stereo construction in an audio program on a computer.
Yes, you can. They have the technology.
What is called an abomination.
But just have a commentary track. Here's what we thought about we were doing this scene. He stood in a studio and read his script. And that's what happened. That's how I got to
tell you, when Chris tells you you're a little too obsessed with something,
I know.
That's a big old red flag right there, Stephen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get obsessed about things. But hey, it's part of my charm, right? right?
Sure.
You just right.
That's a question for your wife, not us.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
No good segue to this. BBC has edited out, has removed temporarily Fear Her from BBC iPlayer because Hugh Edwards, he pleaded guilty to possessing indecent images of children. Of course, Hugh Edwards is a longtime BBC News presenter. Anyway, the biggest blowback, of course, is that his audio appearance in Fear Her has deemed the episode being worthy of being pulled down for now. One assumes, I think a BBC person said, they'll probably just overdub the stupid dialogue that he had to read anyway from the episode.
In a statement to Variety, the BBC said an episode of Doctor Who has been temporarily removed from BBC iPlayer to be redubbed.
There it is, just redubs.
Fine, good.
So.
No problem.
That's the best possible scenario. But yeah, possessing 41 indecent images of children. Oof. But
especially given the theme of that particular episode.
Yeah,
too.
Right. I know.
Oh, he was not just that. He was apparently charged with 3 counts of making indecent images.
That's
worse. That is much worse.
Yeah.
It's all terrible, but yeah.
I know. The BBC is like, they could do this for a Doctor Who episode, fine, but Hugh Edwards was there covering the Queen's death, for God's sake.
I probably watched him.
Yeah.
Not knowing any of this at the time.
Yeah. So trying to remove him from history of covering pretty massive British events is going to be.
They can't.
So no, there's going to be something they're going to have to reckon with. But Fear Her is
plaque at Cardiff Castle in his honor has been removed.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Tragic. Well, on to other things. Doctor Who magazine special 60s old Doctor Who missing episodes. God, there's nothing that gets us excited like Doctor Who missing Doctor Who. There's a whole issue. I've skimmed through this thing. I did it last night. It's some pretty good stuff in there, I got to tell you. Remember when on Twitter, I'm still calling it Twitter, a few weeks ago when they did basically a World Cup of which missing episode would you most like to see returned. They have the whole tournament listings. I'm not going to spoil it here, folks. You're going to have to read the magazine to see which listeners and readers voted that be their number one most anticipated episode.
Master plan.
I'm not going to say. Not even. You're leading the jury. I'm not even.
It ain't going to be your beloved space pirates. I can be sure of that.
No, but let me tell you about the space pirates. The whole thing. Gav Reimel has done a CG recreation of what the sets probably looked like.
I see that in the description here.
For I think episode 6. I had never seen this before. The costume designer has some of his costume sketches. That's literally that's the sketch for his design for Dama Sigri, both in hair and costume, is literally the only visual representation of what Dama Sigri might have looked like, because there are no telesnaps for Space Pirates. John Keir had died by that point. And so this is why I still want the Space Pirates back. I want another episode of the Space Pirates, because especially
why hasn't it
4, 5,
been
or 6.
Animated besides the usual reasons?
Well,
because it seems like an ideal candidate for it.
It does. It will be. I think by the time they put out season 6 Blu-ray. I mean, literally, that's the only missing story, because apart from the Invasion 1 and 4,
I think it's going to be called the season 6 B Blu-ray.
B Blu-ray, specially presented by Louise Jameson, because it'll be a Blu-ray. Anyway, Space Pirates would be way up on my list of episodes I want to see back, because episode 2, which is kind of dumb, but also exists as a 35mm master, which is why it looks and sounds glorious. I want to see episode 4, 5, and especially 6, because episode 6, the regulars were off shooting location stuff for the War Games, and so they pre-filmed literally their entire appearance. There were no regulars in the studio for the making of the Space Pirates.
So
episode 6,
Space Pirates would be. So let's say you found a magic lamp and a genie pops out and says, "Only one wish, not 3."
Okay.
You can return any missing Doctor Who story, whether it's partially missing or fully missing.
Okay.
You can return it to the archives in, let's say, pristine condition, not like some shoddy bicycle 16mm print or something.
Right, with like Australian censor cuts and stuff, yeah.
Would you pick Space Pirates? Would that be your top? Me, I'm going to say The Massacre. But what would you say? Warren, do you have any thoughts while Stephen thinks?
It'd be Massacre.
I would Master Plan or Marco Polo, but only if they colorize Marco Polo.
That'll be for the animated Blu-ray.
We've got it. Yeah, we've got it, but then Benjamin Cook has got. Sorry, we've only released the 75-minute cut down version that Benjamin Cook did.
Yeah, exactly.
And colorized it.
I mean,
that's it.
I would like to see both versions out there because
no,
you
don't get it.
From
no.
From the stills, it does look very colorful.
It does.
To be fair, Kieran Hyman has not said he's not working on colorizing Marco Polo.
First, that's true. It's probably been discovered. It's being waiting to be colorized.
Well, I still remember, man, literally a decade ago, I think.
All right.
At Galley, when we had Steve Roberts join us for one of many times. But it was 2014. It was in the wake of
Omni Rumor,
of the Omni Rumor and whatnot. And even he had said, if something is out there to be found, Marco Polo is probably what it's going to be.
Right.
And I mean, 10 years later, or almost 11 years later,
here we are.
Still haven't seen that happen, but I think, I don't know. I think he's probably right.
As they say in the Space Pirates.
Yeah. I mean, so many copies of it were made. So many film copies of it were made for Marco Polo. But then, like all the historical ones didn't sell as well overseas. Like Marco Polo, like Reign of Terror is, partially missing and had to be found in like various places. The Crusade is, those two episodes. Like literally, you take all the episodes of those first two seasons that are mostly there because they were so widely distributed overseas, and then it stopped partially because of lack of interest, but also partially because of the 6-Day War, which shut down the Suez Canal in 1967. It became
the Suez Canal.
That's the half Mexican brother of Stephen J. Cannell.
Exactly.
Is that the non-union equivalent, perhaps?
Yes, Canal at Diablo.
Yeah. This is basically why Doctor Who wasn't distributed far and wide and was only basically sent to safe British colonies after that because there were ones that they could get to, which is why the Troughton era mostly was only sent to like 5 different countries because they couldn't ship it worldwide. And so that's why most of Doctor Who. So when you start a war over the Suez Canal or Canal, be wary because you might be disrupting Doctor Who missing episode.
That's top of any world leader's list of things
right?
to do.
They didn't think about that. Consequences.
On the other hand, have as many battles over the Panama Canal as you want. That's not going to affect anything.
It's fine. Ecuador can find other outlets for Doctor Who. It'll be fine. Anyway,
how do you describe your view of geopolitics? Well, let me explain missing episodes from Doctor Who and what they are. First, just as a table setter, and then
also in that magazine, which is real, Simon Gary's all over it again because he's he in archive television.
He always is.
There is a great
knows
bit.
Everything.
There's a great bit. I don't think Alan Barnes writes this, or maybe just Simon Gary or Paul Kirkley. I can't remember who wrote it, but. There, like all those like fake websites and other stuff, and like even just archived versions of the websites that were like plugging Doctor Who, like the from Rose. Remember like the Who's This Man? Website.
Oh yeah.
I think even like the
TARDIS.
the
unit site that Mickey hacks or whatever.
Yeah, they're all gone. They're not on the internet anymore. That's missing media. Remember?
So there's no more Searchwise?
There's no more Searchwise. Probably no, probably not. Do you remember? Was it the mobile game that was on the website, The Last Dalek, I think? The Lone Dalek, where you sort of like move your little Dalek? Yeah, that's gone. Some guy has basically reconstructed the game and has posted it on his website. The links on the magazine, because that's gone. Like there's still even though it's not like televised media, there's still so much missing internet media in this day and age where it's amusing.
I don't think that's. I don't think that's unique to Doctor Who, though.
No, it isn't.
But what is unique to Doctor Who is somebody being insane enough to rebuild it.
It is, but it's just like it's amusing when we think about like we look back at the TV industry. We just think how short-sighted it was that the BBC and other places like didn't hang on to their videotapes, their media and stuff, like just like, oh, how dare they, idiots and stuff like that. Well, basically the early days of the internet is gone, and we never thought about that either.
Not even that. The Game Informer, this 33-year-old magazine.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Was it Comedy Central? who the other week wiped all of their archived content.
Gone.
all that Jon Stewart stuff. So Game Informer was this magazine that 33 years of content just gone. Just because it's just gone now.
It's gone.
One Up, which was a very influential website for video games back then. And I'm just pointing that there's any number of other examples of this in other genres and mediums.
Right.
All of it gone because there's this giant hole for archiving, like let's say 98 to about 2016, 2017.
Wow.
And counting.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because nobody cares.
No. It's like people thought they don't care about like old black and white television. That's why they got rid of that, you know?
Whether it's a case of not having an audience or people who would have had to do the archival job not caring. I mean, space, like digital space, hard drives, whatever, server space is cheap.
Right.
Domain registration and renewal, cheap, generally. So I mean, it's the human element of all this that where everything falls down.
And the human element is usually a morale business, which is some executive who has no idea what any of this stuff is or how important it might be to people. Who just gets rid of it because of the bottom line.
Well, I mean, stuff like the Internet Archive, I'm sure, is going to be like the Wayback Machine is going to be there to help bridge the gap at least somewhat, but
a little bit.
But that's a charity, and there's only so much they can do.
That's true. And you're kind of relying in a way on people downloading these files and web pages essentially making off-air copies. The same people who were recording audio off their TV in the 1960s, which is why we have every single episode of Doctor Who on audio at the very least.
And the internet version of Graham Strong.
Are the same type of people. Exactly, Chris. Downloading stuff off the internet before it disappears forever. We're
pirates. Piracy is good. Thank you and good day.
Yeah, it's just a constant cycle of, this isn't important. Let's just get rid of it. Oh, wait, why did we get rid of that? That's literally
with video games. That's rampant. There's so many video games that are just gone now because of that. Or even silent film. There's so many films we're never going to see because they've physically just destructed, essentially.
Well, or I mean, think of like, that era, like the early days of movies and silent films and whatever. Like there was no home media distribution. Like it's all the same stuff as like 60s Doctor Who.
There's a whole parallel silent black film that just was made off to the side because obviously for obvious reasons nobody but black neighbors were showing it, all gone because nobody was preserving it. There's very few things that are around, and that's a whole section of history we don't know about anymore.
Yeah. I mean, preservation would have been greatly difficult in a lot of circumstances anyway, I'm sure. But so this Doctor Who magazine thing, I don't suspect they've ever put one out, but I'd be curious for them to put out a special edition thing like this for unmade Doctor Who stories.
That is, I see what you mean. Well, they do have a big scene about the Mark Gatiss story, the 10th Doctor versus the Bogmen there. There's a whole thing about that. About
True.
how
that's right there.
That was the one that was. What would replace that? I can't remember. At the last minute, Midnight was the one I think it was.
But even like whether it's like new stuff like Stephen Fry's Series 2 script that got canned, or the Second Doctor, whatever they're called, the Prisoners of whatever, all that stuff. Like is going through as we did last year, the so-called Time Lash, just going through Shannon Sullivan's fantastic website with what happened on whatever day, and just there was definitely a lot of it that I was aware of. There was so much that I did not know about. So much of which never got far enough to like even have like a single page of dialogue written or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff which just is maybe conceptual at best, and it went nowhere. So there's not much to say about it, but just
there was one guy in particular who kept getting the shaft. I can't remember his name. You guys probably remember.
I do remember
kept
that.
Proposing things that kept getting shot down.
Just like monkey tennis. No, we're not doing that. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, just even like I didn't even realize like Andrew Smith, for example, had two other stories that were sort of kind of in development, not really, but kind of, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And whatever else is out there for examples.
It's amazing.
There's lots of stuff.
I know, it's amazing when you think about, like, you know, the great grand ideas of stuff that gets proposed and then discarded, and then what gets made, mostly because it could be
how
afforded.
do we end up with Time Flight?
It could be afforded, you know, like
that's TV and to a lesser extent movies in a nutshell, the entire history of them.
I think Andrew Smith's Sontaran story was supposed to be for season 22, and it didn't get far past the scripting range. But then, like, Time Lash is a thing, because you know what? We can make Time Lash. We don't have the money to make that, but we have the money to make Time Lash.
Time Lash being all studio bound and whatnot, I'm sure is cheaper than some other alternatives that could have been considered and whatnot. But
yeah.
Oh, speaking of shows that just got made because they could make them, King's Demons, and I only mention that because I saw the Magna Carta yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right. Saw the Magna Carta.
Yes, you did. I sent us photos.
That's true.
Yes, I did. With a big thumbs up next to the Magna Carta, which I felt a little guilty doing, but oh well.
Go ahead.
Did you go around the rest of the area with all the old manuscripts and Bibles and stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It was pretty cool.
Incredible.
Yeah. I'm just going back to cheap made television when like Star Trek: The Next Generation. I love watching old episodes of that, because you could tell which ones were basically made because we have one guest actor and we never leave these standing sets, and you have to think how cheap some of those episodes were probably made for, because you know what?
But it works with Star Trek because those are cool looking sets.
It's a workplace comedy, essentially, is what Star Trek is, and you can just sort of shoot stuff on
minus
the same
comedy.
set. Yeah, and you know, they basically, it's kind of like Doctor Who, really, when you look at it, like it just like we don't have different costumes, we don't have different anything. We have like 4 or 5 tentpole episodes throughout the course of the season. But the rest of the time, we could basically just shoot stuff on the standing sets. We don't have to build a single
story is
thing.
good enough, it doesn't matter. Exactly. It's the same with the old one.
Yeah.
Like, if a story is good enough, it can all be on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Or if there's enough character development or some such,
Kind of miss that. Kind of, you know, it kind of reminded me when Russell T Davies on that radio show or podcast was talking about, like, if the Disney deal collapses, and we'll just go back to be making ghost stories in closets, and they can,
okay,
sure. You know, like, sometimes you don't have to swing for the fences to make good
don't
TV.
threaten me with a good time, RTD.
Right? Exactly. Like, we don't need to spend all the money and have it seen. We don't need to make blockbusters every single week.
I mean, it's cool when they do.
It is. But sometimes, honestly, the ghost story set in closets that's actually the thing that sets Doctor Who apart. Midnight.
Heaven Sent is a perfect example.
Although
it's a little more spectacular for that kind of thing. But still,
there was a lot of extra work that went into Heaven Sent there with all the CG.
It was.
And the editing.
You know, Listen is another example of notice that we're all you know, like just those type of stories. The character pieces are actually what separates Doctor Who, I think, from a lot of stuff out there. And like sometimes
even Revolution of the Daleks.
Yeah.
They've got one set.
Or Eve of the Daleks that's what he meant, right? Eve of the Daleks.
Sorry, that's what I mean. Yeah. Eve of the Daleks, yes.
You know, like sometimes it's those type of stories that separate. And so, you know, sometimes I think that people who make Doctor Who assume that we need to win over people with big, giant, flashy visuals. But honestly, it's the character stuff. I don't know how we got onto this topic, but it's fun.
There's,
you know,
so in the lead up to and in the wake of the release of Deadpool and Wolverine,
right?
So like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman did 6 or 8 weeks of like pretty rigorous press stuff and promotion and whatnot, and that's something Reynolds said about that movie, which I'm sure applies to any number of other films as well, or TV projects, whatever. But that at the end of the day, it's the characters that it's the characters you remember, or lines of dialogue, or things like that your brain's gonna glom onto.
Mm-hmm. He's right.
More
you have to have that other stuff for something
more
that big,
more than the whiz bang visuals or whatever.
Yeah,
and this is why the DC movies fail and the Marvel ones do better, because you actually care more about the characters. And not you, Stephen, but most people care more about the Marvel characters. They're better drawn out than the DC ones. This is solved by writing better characters. DC show, like for instance, a 40-year-old movie, Superman the movie, which is much better. It's the only example I have.
Well, we'll see what James Gunn Superman's
more than 45
like.
now.
Yeah. We'll see what James Gunn Superman.
To be fair, the Nolan Batman movies, people like those mostly for the characters, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tom Hardy as Bane is phenomenal, or Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Mm-hmm. That too, yeah. But that's all down to performance, a character. Yeah,
it is exactly. It's not the I forget what the name of the stupid vehicle in the first one is.
Batmobile.
It's not stuff like that. It's the characters. It's the interactions.
Mm-hmm.
It's Gary Oldman as Gordon, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's when Robert Downey Jr. shows up as Dr. Doom. It's not like we're gonna be saying, look at this amazing CG fight that Dr. Doom does. No, it's gonna be like, look at this line that he said as Robert Downey Jr.
I saw something
as Iron Man.
On Twitter, somewhere on the internet,
right?
Recently, in the wake of Robert Downey Jr. being announced as Dr. Doom, and the paycheck he's going to get, something like $80 million or higher.
It'll be obscene.
Yeah,
it'll be obscene. But there's some stuff posted by, I think it's like a costume hand. So not like a designer or whatever, just like a Joe Schmo kind of regular dude, a regular person, and how he made like $12 an hour or something like that doing Marvel films for a year.
Yeah.
Yikes. Now, not to defend corporate types, but if you're going to talk about risk assessment, Downey is your best bet. Let's be honest here.
Sure. It's true. It's on the same stage that Ncuti Gatwa was earlier in the day. I'm just trying to tie it back to Doctor Who somehow. We kind of got off on a tangent there, but that's sometimes...
What?
I know. Long-time listeners of this podcast may note that sometimes we go on tangents, and that's fine.
So the next time we talk about you on a podcast not talking about Doctor Who.
Oh,
exactly.
We talk about Doctor. Yeah, so I was on Kyle Anderson, of course, has been my longtime co-host on The Memory Cheats. Does laser focused on Nerdist, and he had me on talking about something that's way outside of my wheelhouse, old British sci-fi. So we talked.
Sounds unlikely.
We talked quite a bit about Doctor Who. Let's face it. Classic Doctor Who. We also talked about Sapphire and Steel and The Prisoner, and what else did we talk about?
Blake Seven says the description.
A little bit in there. Yeah, it was a pretty good talk. I enjoyed talking about stuff like that with Kyle. I enjoy talking about anything with Kyle. He's been on this show several times too. So it's a fun listen. You should go listen to it. It's links in the show notes there.
Okay.
Talking about old sci-fi from the United Kingdom, where Warren is right now.
I listened to a little bit of it the other day when it dropped. Yeah.
Oh, I was waiting for the backhanded compliment, but it never came. So thank you, Chris. Okay.
Speaking of character development,
exactly. Well, dude, you
okay, you sack of turds.
Yeah, there we are. The Toby Haydock, the BBC Who We Are, the thing that he put out to the stuff of
Who Are We?
Who Are We? Thank you. Who Are We at Doctor Who at the BBC thing that he put out with Joe Wiley last year in the run up to the 60th anniversary is coming out on disc, CD, and also audiobook on December 5th, the unabridged version. So that's cool. Good job, Toby, for getting another Doctor Who thing out into the world on the official banner. I mean, he is on a lot of the official Blu-rays and stuff like that, of course. But
we've known Toby forever, and he's an amazing person and funny and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know where the man finds the time to do what he does. Because, like, if you ever listen to his podcast, like the deep dives he goes into, the amount of time he must spend recording, let alone researching, is obscene. He still compares at Excess Malarkey.
Yep.
He does whatever number of Doctor Who Blu-ray VAM interviews and whatever.
Right.
And, he also has a life and children and, like, I don't know where the man finds the time. Well, he's a machine.
Well, he's become a lot busier now because he started Happy Times and Places during the early days of the lockdown, thinking, "Oh, this would be a good way to pass the time." And he's basically like his goal was to do a too much information podcast on every single episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I mean, listen to those is like, I don't know how, like, those are. Oh, it's like digging to the Earth's magma core level of
and discovering the demons within.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so intense.
The sad thing is that he's he's basically got up to. I think he's into Keys of Marinus. Maybe not.
Yeah,
even
I don't think he's hit season 2 yet.
No, God, no. So basically, he's done a story a year. Essentially, he's finally got. We've mentioned before this podcast. Shannon Patrick Sullivan's sort of become a script editor or writer. He said this on his podcast. So he's helping out a little bit, but because of other things, he's also a writer in real life. He also writes things and does other acting and stuff too. So he's been very busy. And but yeah, and yet still. Whenever I come calling, say, hey, Toby, you want to be on the podcast? I'll devote 2 hours or something, even though I say, well, it'll be 30 minutes. We'll talk for 2 hours on and off the mic about stuff anyway. So,
well, he's a raccoon turd, and he's good at it. So, what the hell?
Oh, very much so. I mean, man, I still remember like 15 years ago when Barry Letts died. Like we were scrambling for ideas of what to do. We wanted to put something out as rapidly as possible.
Yeah.
And you or I, one of us dropped Toby an email saying, "Hey, we're doing this. Any chance you'd like to take part?"
Yeah. And
yeah, within I don't know how many hours, we're basically recording the darn thing with him, and like just, I mean, especially when it comes to Doctor Who, just the love and affinity that he has for the show, and just like I don't know how, he probably makes like nothing when he does the DVD or Blu-ray extras. Like it's a labor of love,
right?
Oh, not just him. I think it's a labor of love for everybody involved.
Oh, of course, but I mean, like I know for Happy Times and Places and such, he's got a Patreon. I don't know what that yields or
billions of dollars. He's a lot of people on his
I would very much hope so. Billions. I would love to see him make so much money on that show that he retires.
It just does that. Yeah. Just to hell with the rest of my career. The Patreons have spoken. I am doing this for the rest of my life, every single day. That's what he should do.
Well, I mean, you know what I mean. But still, I do. Yeah, like it's he does it because he loves the show.
He absolutely does.
Same reason we do this, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. What a wild tangent of an episode we've got here for you today. I hope you're enjoying this, everyone. We're keeping Warren from hitting the streets in Edinburgh. We probably aren't. He's probably going to go straight to bed after this.
No, it's 5 p.m. or 6 p.m.
That's fine. 1 hour later, and then he goes straight to bed. The Big Finish relaunched their website. Had a couple of hiccups with their new website launch, but it's all
just a couple
ironed out now, I believe. But they did announce that that extra date has been added to the live recording of Stuff of Legend with Paul McGann and such, because the original recording did like sold out within minutes, but they've added 2 more performances on Sunday the 15th. I imagine those are probably gone too. I haven't actually checked. The capacity at the Cadogan Hall is like, I don't know, 500-600 people, so it's
Sunday the 15th of September, so I guess we should say.
That's the one. Did I say that? I thought I did say that.
No.
Oh, okay.
You just said 15th. Sunday the 15th.
Oh, of September.
No month. But going back to the whole earlier Big Finish thing, like without sounding condescending, I hope good for them.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm not surprised. That's such a unique event that to see it live would be kind of cool. So well done, Big Finish, for acquiescing to the public demand for more performances of that.
Yeah. And thanks to those involved for having the availability of their schedule to do it too.
That too. Finally, in the news list, there's another Doctor Who related humble bundle out there. This is for the Cubicle 7 RPG package. Warren, what's in this whole thing? There's up to 45 different items if you pledge the highest
if you pay $44, and that's what I did, so I couldn't tell what the other. There's other tiers where you get less stuff. I just paid $44 for the whole schmear.
Right.
You get pretty much everything they've put out, more or less, with in PDF form. So, and since I've written, I can't say what yet, Doctor Who stuff for them, and I can say I've written laundry file stuff for them because that's out and about. That I figured, well, if nothing else, I'll have a reference if I do more stuff for them. I can just look at all these PDFs that I'll have, and I'll be able to say, am I writing something that's already been written? No, I am, or yes, I'm not. So, yeah.
Including this, you probably look through and go, who wrote this? Oh, it's me. Oh, whoops.
Trust me, I have done that with my day job. What is this? Oh, yeah, I guess that was my fault. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah. Whenever like sometimes my Facebook thing says, "Oh, look what you said 12 years ago." What a dumb thing to say. What an idiot. God. You get why Doctor Who characters like previous Doctors fight with each other. Because I would too. If I travel back in time and met myself like 12 years ago, what are you doing, you dumbass?
I would punch myself out.
Yeah,
numerous times over.
Yeah.
It's like quite often gets said for people of our generation how because like the internet and prevalent cameras and whatever didn't exist, none of our stupidity in our youth was really recorded.
And JD Vance is the antithesis of that.
And I'm so
roasted.
glad for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about that too. But.
Yeah, sure. Good thing. Literally, the last 18 years of our lives are documented in audio form, though, in this podcast.
Yeah, but the stupid stuff I did as a 12-year-old. Oh,
well,
nobody knows about that.
Yeah, there is the stupid stuff we did as 35-year-olds. So there is that. We grow as people. At least we hope to think that.
What hopes?
The Cubicle 7 Humble Bundle, for whatever it's worth, is also in support of children in need.
Yes,
so great charity.
True.
Very important cause. So do click. Listen, get the whole thing. Get the whole thing. It goes to a good cause.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's $44 Canadian. So that's like $20 anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So
as has been repeatedly enforced on me by spending money on anything in the UK.
Yeah. All right, that is it for the news portion of this episode. Warren, enjoy the rest of your trip in Scotland and wherever the hell you're going, and Worldcon next week and such. And but your voice will go on in the form of the classic series commentary for Planet of the Spiders, Part 2.
Are the microphones wired in?
All round the condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back to the classic series commentary portion of this podcast. We are looking back at the greatest individual episode of Doctor Who in its entire history. No padding whatsoever detected in this. It is episode 2 of Planet of the Spiders. Can you believe that? I can.
At least it's not episode 3.
Pertwee is almost over.
It's almost over. So I hope you've got your legally purchased DVDs, or if you're in the near to far future, your legally purchased season 11, John Pertwee season 5 Blu-ray set, depending on where you are in the world. Good, because here we go, kids. Part 2 of Invasion of the Spiders. Invasion of the Planet of the Spiders in 3, 2, 1, play.
I would like to see Invasion of the Spider Dinosaurs.
Invasion of the Spider Dinosaurs.
Spider-saurs.
Were there any Spider-saurs? That's a good one.
Spider-saurs.
Were there any spiders in Dinosaur Land? Probably.
I don't know.
I would presume so.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Insects have been around, I think, longer than dinosaurs, so yeah.
I was listening to a podcast not long ago, and then they were talking about King Kong, the 1920 whatever Universal film. And they're just...
33.
33? Okay.
Yeah.
They're just talking about how when they get to like Skull Island or whatever, the Kong Island, whatever,
right?
It's raging with dinosaurs, and they're like, "We don't care about these dinosaurs; just kill them. We want the monkey." And it's like, if you went to an island with dinosaurs, you're gonna want the dinosaurs.
Take the dinosaurs, exactly.
Well, like they discovered dinosaurs, like say 50, 60 years previous, maybe probably further back than that, but the 1800s, right?
Yeah,
so
like
maybe that was just yesterday's news at the
maybe.
time. Yeah. Like they were sick and tired. Dinosaur hype had already come and went with the Victorian era.
That's true. So
I'm just guessing here.
I want to point out that we usually record our commentaries in like large batches, but we recorded episode 1 of this like weeks ago as recording this, and I don't remember any. I don't remember any of how this episode ended, so at least it's all new to me here.
And if you're watching on YouTube, Stephen has a different jersey on.
I do, yeah. This is how I differentiate. I'm going to try.
I don't know if I have a different shirt.
I'm going to try and wear as many defunct jerseys, NHL team jerseys, for classic series commentaries as possible. Unfortunately, a lot of them have green in them, so the green screen behind me would render me invisible. Apart from my head.
Lupton.
Yeah.
Yes,
there's something on your back. This is it.
I'm wearing a black t-shirt with something writing on it, which is really narrowing it down, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That is classic Brigadier stance.
Really is.
Scaramouching.
Is that what that is? Scaramouche?
I call it girl get out.
I don't honestly know. So you're Years ago, back when I still watched Coronation Street, there was a website called Coronation Street Visual Updates, for those old enough to possibly remember it, where they just basically take a bunch of screen grabs from a given episode and just kind of
telesnaps,
describe the plot.
Yeah,
telesnaps, yeah,
effectively. And one of the characters, every time she had her
this is great.
Sorry, the spider just came up on screen.
Disco spider vision.
Yeah.
Every time she put her hands on her hips, which she did a lot, the author would just say that she was scaramouching. So,
interesting.
Whether that's a affectation, I don't know. But.
So the cyber leader in Revenge of the Cybermen scaramouches a lot then.
Sure.
By the way,
if that's the thing. I've never looked it up after 20 whatever years.
We've
of
got
that site.
5 and 4 and most of 5th episodes. We'll look it up for this commentary if we want to do that. But first, Christopher Burgess is on screen there. We have to.
There you go.
Say your namesake, yeah.
Twice.
It was awesome that you were in Doctor Who, yeah.
You can't see it, but I'm just looking at my Jeff Fink produced Earthshock 3D model, and it has 2 Cybermen that are not accurate to the story.
Well, get them out of there.
Looking at it, but I have Sensorites also looking at it, and it never ceases to amuse me to have those 2 Cybermen look at these Sensorites like, what are you doing here?
I don't know if you'd ever have anything useful to do with it, Warren. Maybe you should ask Jeff one day. So if you're doing an Earthshock thing,
Jeff,
see if he can do the Cyberman stuck in the door.
Oh, that would be
awesome.
Useful. That rules. I bet you he could.
Yeah,
Jeff is a whiz with these things. He's made some real impressive stuff.
Dock in the
sitting on my dolly shelf. One of them.
See, he could say Doc in the break because he's X of Unit now. I kind of love how, I mean, the Mike Yates arc is one of the rarities in classic Who, where he actually gets a character arc. Going mad a bit with the crystal, then sort of like becoming all Greenpeace and Invasion of the Dinosaurs, and now completely needing to find himself again. And I like that he actually never meets up with his unit friends again. Like, this is it.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice because they could have definitely gone the other way, and I don't know if you'd ever see them out for a beer or something, but
no.
This guy's got some serious sweet 70s threads going.
They all do. This is great. I feel like my dad probably had a very similar jacket to that.
Turtleneck's got to come back. Come on.
I mean, Steve Jobs did his best, but
that's true. Yeah, I don't want people aping tech stuff.
Yeah, I feel like it became a kind of a tech cliche.
Didn't Zuckerberg do turtlenecks for a while as well?
No, Zuckerberg just wore the same damn thing over and over, and now he's. What eventually happens with these dorks is they come into $1 zillion and they get stylists, and it's always doesn't look right.
Yeah,
and Zuckerberg's one of those.
Yeah, not like Lupton here. Clever Lupton.
It usually ties in with their lean towards right-wing idiocy, which we're seeing right now. So Zuckerberg's less a right-wing idiot, more of just a greedy scumbag, but
We're recording this around the 50th anniversary of Planet of the Spiders, what it's worth, in late May.
Well, 47th of Star Wars, on the day of the 47th.
On the day of the 47th, there you go, May 25th, 2025. May 25th, 2024. We just watched, and some of us slagged off 73 yards on our regular
Some of us being you.
That's right. Chris hated it towards the end, but that was that was me yelling, doctor looking for the doctor who wasn't in the episode, and then staring at our remind me to get the prop out, the screen accurate prop for the next commentary, although it's probably gone now.
Warren's got his, I think. Right
there we
are. Right here.
Yeah,
right here, baby.
Yeah.
M.O.
Screen accurate other than the light switch on the one facet.
Completely screen accurate.
Yeah.
What, did you ever see the light switch on this one? Well, then how do you know it's not there? This pose he's doing reminds me of the Martin Scorsese cinema meme.
I don't know what meme that is.
It's just Scorsese looking in repose, and it just says cinema.
Was that the first reference to Harry Sullivan, who we have yet to see or meet? Or was there an earlier one? I can't remember.
No, I think Dr. Sullivan. No, that was the one.
Oh, he's going to be next episode, right?
Yeah.
So, or is he in this one? I don't remember.
No, he's not in this
next
one,
story, but yeah.
Next story, yeah.
Shot really basically at the same time as this.
Back to back.
Yeah, almost dovetailing. It's funny when you look at the... Remember they...
Hold on, we got some Gallifrey lore happening.
This is...
So where was that behind the barn?
The Daisiest Daisy guy, who oddly enough the actor
went out
appears
back
later
to
on.
pee.
Yeah. Speaking of 73 yards. There is a crazy alligator.
1973 yards.
Yeah, there's
74.
There's a crazy alligator hanging in this. We missed it.
Yes.
I'm not sure we'll see it.
That seems to happen a lot in the per years.
Just random stuff hanging around. Trouble.
Here's Hodor. Tommy.
Just bringing up all the stuff that we talked about on RFS 962, everyone.
Which won't make any sense at all.
In your feed if you want to go back and listen.
Mikey, this is looking pretty 70s here.
This is so nice. This is proper 1974.
Well, the medallion for sure.
Everything. The hair, the medallion, the lapels, the jacket, the sweater, or pullover, or jumper, I guess they would call it.
Especially Yates's hair.
Yeah. That is proper hair. Look at that. I don't think he cut his hair once from when he joined unit until in 71 until now.
That's what I love about watching old stuff where military guys have 70s haircuts. Or if you watch Happy Days, which I wouldn't, it doesn't really
my God.
But people with bell bottoms all over the place in Ralph's Diner from 1954 or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. That show jumped the shark long before it jumped the shark, let me tell you.
True. I still say Chuck, his brother's only one season, got sent to Korea and killed, and nobody talks about him ever again because he did some terrible war crimes. That's my Happy Days lore.
Yeah.
I'm just going to hold this every time it's on screen.
Attack it. There it is. See background right behind Sarah right there? Like some weird alligator dinosaur or something.
Hanging up there, yeah.
What is going on? What is with that?
I wonder if that's the puppet from maybe the dinosaurs. I doubt it. It looks too detailed from here to be.
Threw it on
maybe
the
it
background.
It's his spoils from Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah. Exactly.
He enshrinkulated it or something like that. You don't listen.
Well,
to
it enshrinkulates us all.
Yeah.
This is Sarah's had some weird costumes in her time, but this is
odd. She's got like a gingham tablecloth as the
this
liner
looks
of
like
her
something
coat.
an action figure or a dolly would wear.
Yeah,
not an actual person.
Do you have that action dolly? Is there such an action dolly that exists?
I do have.
Okay.
This action dolly of Sarah Jane Smith,
right,
and another one of old Sarah Jane Smith or older.
That's from Sarah Jane Adventures.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we go.
Here we go, kids. Here we go.
Is this the only time this showed up?
Second time.
Remember.
Second of two.
When was there a time it showed up?
Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Right.
The hood, so the roof wasn't. This is like the biggest speaking role for Pat Gorman in Doctor Who history, I think. Because this is a lot of lines here. It gets a close up. I feel like. This is the most self-indulgent episode of Doctor Who until the end of time, part 2.
It's probably more.
But all the favorites, like Pat Gorman's in here. He's
a Sith.
A lot of.
No, he's the master.
Good fall too. Probably got some extra money for that. All the stunt people that have been working on over the years. Terry Walsh gets in there later on, and we'll see. It's this is the proper, okay, John, you get to go out on your own. We get to do a whole episode. You can drive whatever you want. It feels kind of good. But in the long run.
I think it was a real car. It was actual licensed vehicle.
We built it. Pertwee built it. Yep.
I didn't know Pertwee built it.
Yeah, Pertwee had it built. Yeah. You're just clinging to the crystal there.
I know.
You're going to go nuts if you look into that thing too much.
Well, go nuts. What are you talking about? It's long since passed.
That's true. You might. Maybe it will drive you unmad as they are.
Well, I just made a vow to hold it up whenever it's on screen.
Right.
Go crazy. Don't mind if I do.
It's like that episode of Star Trek where you look into that vault, and unless you're blind or have the special Spock goggles, you go crazy. Which is what I like in Twitter too nowadays.
If it even exists.
Metabolus 3. How did Smith say it that was wrong?
Metabolus.
Metabolus. She said Metabolus.
Boy, that caused a real stink.
No, Matt Smith, not Sarah Jane Smith.
Yeah.
It's the doctor's saying, there weren't any giant spiders on Metabolus 3, at least when I was there. You have the knowledge or the capacity to understand that they could have come way before or way after.
Yeah, there weren't any dinosaurs on Earth except when I was there. Just wow.
There were no Zeons on Zeos.
Yeah.
Not that I saw. But there could have been.
I was going to say earlier when they're in the behind, there's they're going to shoot a behind the scenes documentary for the making of Robot, and only 10 minutes of like the script read was filmed and without sound before they boarded it.
So one reel's worth is what you're saying.
And in it, you can see that Chris Berry is sort of leading everything, and Tom Baker's there, and Liz Sladen's there, and Ian Marter, and all the folks. And the one person who's not there is the producer, Barry Letts, because Barry Letts is busy directing this.
Oh, neat.
Because they're made right at the same time, essentially. So
really nothing's changed in 50 years in terms of...
Tom Baker right now is like they're basically doing rehearsals for Robot, I think. I don't know where it dovetails, but it like there are days where Elizabeth Sladen shoots a scene for Spiders, and then the next day she shoots like the scene on location, which she's driving the car in Robot.
That must have been confusing.
Yeah. Like for classic Who, that is rare. Modern Who, less so, because I think they dovetail a lot of stuff.
Well, for something that had, 2 weeks dedicated to a single episode most of the time, or 1 week or 2 weeks for 2 episodes, whatever, but still.
Yeah.
I know it's not accurate, but it looked like he was carrying that gun in his pocket and not a holster.
I know, just like I got this kick.
Which would be very inconvenient and dangerous.
Yeah.
He was just happy to see you.
Boo.
You'll damage my car.
My car. New brigadier.
Nice. See, Bessie gets her time in the sun here.
Bessie rules.
There we go. Can't see the wheels at all.
No.
Look at that.
That was at the experience, right?
Look at Pert just hanging off the end like that.
Bessie was at the experience, wasn't it? I believe so.
No.
I thought it was.
No,
I know the K1 robot sure as hell was.
Certainly the K1 robot.
Oh, it's so cool to see that, because that's the first story I ever saw. So to see the real...
That's true.
I assume that's the real thing, just sitting there.
It is.
Ah.
That's undercranked.
I probably said, oh no, when I saw it, but...
You see it anyway.
That's totally undercranked. I mean, the car is.
Yeah.
I bet that thing probably went like 30 miles an hour.
Chases.
The Who won. He's not called Doctor Who. Alarm.
Probably not Pertwee in there, but that's fine.
Oh, that did bug me when I was a kid, that he's not Doctor Who. Why is his car called Who Won?
I know it's Who Won. They tried to get Who something else for it, but they
Who
said
2 or whatever.
Who 2M or something. Yeah.
I've always, if I was going to get a vanity license, I would get the Who second
Who 2M. That would be
absolutely.
That would be the deep cut, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure somebody must have done that. Somebody in the Gallifrey parking lot has probably done that.
Like I where is the Who-mobile now? Is what I would like to know.
It's got to be in pieces in somebody's garage.
I don't know. I hope that. I mean, it was still around in 1993 when they did More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS, because they used it in that.
Okay.
So
this guy looks remarkably relaxed for somebody in a pimp-ass ride.
He does rather.
That's also a pimp-ass ride.
I'm betting when the season 11 set comes out, they'll have a big documentary looking for the Who-mobile, and Toby Haydock will be scrounging for him.
That's okay. Well, now we got 4 pimp-ass rides in a row.
Yeah, I know, right? So this guy was as a stand-up comic apparently, and was doing a gig in London or something during the evenings, and so he had 2 hours or something to shoot all this stuff.
So Alexei Sayle energy is what you're saying?
A little bit.
Also, Panda 3. I bet you that's like, this is the cop nobody wants to. They just give him the lame jobs. That's why it's called Panda 3.
Well, because they're called panda cars, because I guess they look like...
Oh, okay.
They look like pandas because of the striping, I think, is what the deal is, but...
No, that's definitely overcranked.
Totally cranked, yeah.
Well, I mean, even having the camera in the back of the car over the dude's shoulder is...
It's pretty impressive,
kind of decent for 1974.
Pre-Steadicam days.
This needs Benny Hill music.
It does a little bit.
Especially at the higher speed, yeah.
It just need like a bunch of Keystone cops walking by, screwing up, waving their arms. This thing has to have an 8-track.
Oh, it has to, right?
And you know it has one of those cigarette lighters.
Yeah, well, I mean, my car from 2000 had
those things scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. They were terrifying.
You push them in, it comes out, and it's like, hey, it's just burning hot thing.
Yeah, like it just seems like a really bad idea.
You could like burn your sibling in the back. So burn you. Cigarette lighter.
I mean, if the secondhand smoke doesn't kill you first.
That's true, or the lack of seatbelts. But
yeah.
The glory days, back when lawn darts were a thing.
Or the because we had a Ford Maverick, the vinyl seating burning your shorts-clad legs as a child.
My first car was a Ford Maverick. No lies.
Oh, this is 1970 Ford Maverick. They bought it back.
My first car was a 73, and then I had a 74 later on. So.
Oh, wow. So you had the OG.
I had the OG, baby. My mom had an OG, 71.
Yeah, that's what my parents had. A red
Maverick,
one.
yeah.
Real jalopy.
I want a few pretty must have touched that. That's miles per hour there, kids.
That guy looks like a stand-up comic. I bet you most of his act would, how to put this gently, be untoward nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like you might be right.
I mean, I don't know anything about this guy. Maybe he was a raving liberal for all I know, but
no.
He just has that Bernard, what's his name, look. The guy who was like too spicy for Britain.
Oh, I don't know.
Way back when you could still be spicy.
Oh.
And I'm not endorsing spiciness, by the way, people.
No.
I'm just saying that was the tenor of the time.
Yeah. I love it when they don't let you say that anymore. As if, okay, so you wanted to, though, right?
Probably shouldn't.
Is that what you're saying here? Yeah.
It's like my argument whenever, and I don't hear this very often, but somebody goes, well, the age of consent is, I mean, you've already lost the argument.
Yeah, don't.
Like, don't say that around me again, ever, please. Yeah. I beg of you.
What a groovy car.
That is a sweet.
Although oh boy. Here we go.
Yeah. So you got this sweet ass car and CSO. What more do you want?
Nothing. It's a celebration of the era, damn it.
I assume it's just the lighting, but the coloration looks so like it looks gray, not white.
Yeah, I know. I think there's
I've got something off color to say. No, don't do it.
No, don't. Just deliver your report in person and not in writing.
I say the amount of off-color commentary goes with the length of the sideburns. Yeah. So Carl Yastrzemski was a real bigot.
Gyroplane. Did gyroplane still a thing? It seems like a really cool invention. I feel like honestly, the gyroplane is like basically as close to a flying car as we would get, because that is like.
Well, you're referring to the auto gyro, which uses petroleum distillate. I like the luggage rack on the top of this thing, and the more modern TV antenna.
Yeah,
because I remember we got that TV antenna on like a smaller portable TV, and I was like, "Wow, the future is now." That's actually kind of cool that they've got this. I know how they're doing it, but it's still kind of cool.
It's not bad. It's the lack, the mixing of video and film, which is what.
Yeah, but come on, that adds to the charm.
For us, yes. Obviously, for us, yes. But I can.
Why is there an outside speaker so you can just blast the tunes like some fog hat going on?
Yeah, I guess that is. I guess it is an outdoor speaker.
Steely Dan, please.
Oh, gross.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Chicago, maybe.
Well, I hate that less than I hate
There's
Steely
like a
Dan,
ring there in the back, too.
Steely Dan an infinite amount.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an antenna of some sort, I imagine.
Yeah.
So my personal lore is that sort of streak through the ground is actually the crystal from Superman 1978. So a child has landed in rural England in 1974.
There we go. Stops on a dime because Pert knows how to drive.
I like how this is musical vehicles, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it is quite literally like we're how many minutes into this chase, and like we got quite a while to go in this episode, and literally nothing happens in this episode. We are watching it. We are watching the entirety of what happens in this episode. Falls down.
Yeah, but at this point, he's drunk.
Out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I know how to escape them. I'll run through some bog.
Yeah.
So Barry said, if we give him a hovercraft,
let's say hair continuity though is on point. Like he would look like that after driving around.
Actually disheveled. Yeah,
that's a pretty sweet. That's a reverse Akira move.
This is the guy. This is the owner of the hovercraft right here. Gets a speaking role just because he owns a hovercraft. Terry Walsh. Oh, off you go.
Right. They are going all out with this.
Yeah, like he not only gets a speaking role, like actually gets like a death scene and everything. Just nice work, guy.
Also, I just love how I can pretend this guy is a Sith.
Yeah.
He's the master from
the Sith obviously stole it from this. I think we can surmise that. Get off my boat.
There's a lot of brutality happening here.
I hope he's not dead.
Convenient hovercraft.
Like they just go. They leave him. They do not care if he's dead or alive. Which is hilarious.
Well, he's yelling at this guy, so he's presumably alive.
I'd love to come back. Oh, fine. All right. You got me.
I'll leave you on the beach in danger, Sarah Jane.
Yeah. To attend to that man's wounds, even though you have never seen such a thing in your life before. There's old Pert driving it, though. I think maybe Walsh is driving some of the times. I don't know. But I feel like it's got to be Pertwee.
That looked like a wig, though, that behind part.
I was going to say, usually you look at the hair, you can tell.
Yeah, that feels wiggish to me.
But it's getting... Yeah, that's got to be Walsh, right? Yeah.
Because otherwise you'd show Pertwee if you could. You'd show like a bit of a profile.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think Walsh does the drive over Stuart
like there,
Fell.
Obviously.
That's... Yeah. I mean... Oof, geez, I think you hit the camera there. That's the guy. Sorry, that's the guy. That's not Walsh. That's the guy who got wiped out. That's the owner of the hovercraft, essentially.
Well, I mean, if he owns it, he's like, I'll be the one doing this. Thank you very much.
That's why they got him to do it, so he could do those stunts and stuff. So that was
kind of sad. I can't hear the music, which I'm sure is adding to the pimposity.
You know what's going on.
Of course I do.
You can tell what Dudley's trolling out here. Yeah,
what Dudley's doing right.
Dudley is doing right, baby.
Canadian icon that nobody in Canada cares about. Dudley Do-Right is what every American thinks Canadians are.
Yeah, I know. Still to this day.
And we're like, what's that again?
You didn't lose him. That's Pertwee. That's Pertwee going really slow. That's the real guy going really fast.
This reminds me of playing Grand Theft Auto, and where I will see how far I can get on a boat through the beach.
On land, yeah.
I've gotten real close to the sidewalk in Venice Beach or Vespucci Beach, whatever it's called.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And rammed into quite a few people to get there.
There we go. I actually drove over him too. Actually drove over Stuart Fell. Say what?
He kind of looks like a young, the guy who just died from the Pogues.
Oh, Shane McGowan.
Shane McGowan, yeah.
Just died like a year ago, but yeah.
Was it a year ago now?
That was a while ago, yeah. I think it was. I don't know how they're shooting. They're probably just having another guy driving the boat there for John Dirth as Clever Lupton. I don't think he's driving. I've driven a boat.
He looks like he's just sick and tired of this entire episode.
It's not hard to drive a boat. I'll say that. I drove when I was in my teens. I drove a boat.
I helped drive a sailboat with a motor in it. And
it was a motor, yeah.
I'm not comfortable doing this, but at least...
Put the the throttle and then drive. It's like there's no road. So
it's like when I went to Egypt and we went to Abu Simbel. And so our guy driving us through the desert fell asleep. And I'm like, what am I worried about? It's a desert. There's nothing to run into.
Yeah.
As long as he stops at some point, I think we're okay.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the whole
that
thing.
whole episode.
By the way, the guy driving, the guy is chasing. I bet you that guy's 28. he looks like a 1974 28.
I wonder how old John Dirth was at that time. Well,
I mean, he's clearly not 28.
We're going to find that out. Let's hold that for the next episode of.
I'm guessing 39.
I am going to tell you. I can tell you right now, he was 54 actually when that was shot. So,
Chubby Oats.
Chubby Oats. John Dirth.
Sounds like a euphemism.
A tramp.
Michael Pinder or whatever it was. Would that be the hovercraft guy?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think it was Fred Hamilton, longtime film cameraman. Hey, Turnsticks, how about that? Rochelle Selwyn and Barry Letts, one credit, so he takes the directed by credit. So, well, that was fun, wasn't it? There you go. That was part 2 of Planet of the Spires. We are 33% of the way through John Pertwee's final Doctor Who story. Join us next time for part 3 of Planet of the Spiders. So until then, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Martin in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.